Good morning. Welcome in to another episode of Good Morning NASDAQ. Today is the 24th day of April 2024. Today is Wednesday, which means we'll do a little bit of live trading. I don't know how much live trading we'll do. Market is doo-doo water this week so far in small cap land. I'm sure we'll talk more about that as we get in. We do have a couple gappers that I know Huddy will want to go over with his watch list. Nothing in the crazy realm of hundreds of percents, but we do have a couple that I think he might be interested in shorting this morning as a gapping crapper. Welcome in, welcome in. Kyle is not with us this morning as he is traveling or is in Hawaii, so it's like 3 a.m. for him. Maybe he'll be in the room today, maybe he won't. But we're happy that he's out enjoying himself after a very good April. At the beginning of this month, he was in the midst of a huge drawdown. Look at that. Great month out of it all. Super happy for him. Huddy, how are you doing this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
That's fine. That's awesome. That's great. We only have a few minutes here before the open, so I do want to get going as soon as possible. Welcome in. If you want to ask any questions, use the Clover Trading YouTube chat over there. It is free. Get in there, talk to your friends, say what's up. Let us know how you're doing. If you have any tickers you want us to go over, we'd be happy to. I just lost Discord. Okay. One moment. Talk, Huddy.
I'll just start going into my watch list. Just typing it out in the Clover room right now. So AMST, BOF, two tickers that I am watching for gapping craps today. But as it stands right now, if they're going to open up where they are currently, I'm going to need quite the spike out of them this morning in order to get interested. And it's got to be kind of like what I've been liking in a lot of these is when you get a morning pile drive off one of these. In my opinion, most of these stocks are absolute garbage. So I don't even read the PRs anymore. It used to make me more hesitant. Now just kind of take it for face value. If it's, a crappy company coming off the lows and it's gapping up massive, I think it's a pump and dump, a modern age pump and dump. The more people that get bagged off the morning push, the more likely I think it is to fade for the rest of the day. So AMST, BOF, two tickers I'm watching for that type of price action. We'll see. I mean, if they were gapping up bigger, I'd be more willing to short earlier. But since they don't have, that big of gap ups, I'll wait. The higher it goes, the more reward I think there is to the downside. So I think the risk becomes worth it.
You want to talk more about either one of those? Do you want to maybe hit it on the news or something?
I haven't read the news. Like I said, I don't really like reading the news. I just look at the floats. I make sure it qualifies for my criteria that I look for in these stocks. And the main thing I'm looking at are, floats. And both floats qualify for something that I am willing to trade. Market caps qualify for something that I'm willing to trade. Price levels I'm willing to trade. So sometimes I got to say I don't like the $1 tickers. I've been told in my history that $1 tickers can be a little bit volatile.
Well, if you wait BOF, 5 seconds, it might be at $2.
Well, yeah, but it can still trigger my entry in the $1 area, which I would kind of expect to just experience not the best play on BOF, just because of its price point, right? So price points do matter, but I will probably still take it because they've been working so well lately that I don't really want to ignore one, right? And that's the other thing. Like, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but all of April, like, I don't think I've taken one max loss on gappers. That's pretty disgustingly how good it's been working. And that's usually once a month, there's a day or like a couple of days that they just stop going down and they squeeze. And I feel like that has to be coming soon because it hasn't happened all month. So I'm fully prepared for that, ready to take my first losses for the month, but so far, so good.
Is that your main watches today?
Yeah, I was going to let you talk about the other two.
Well, I got a couple. Let me just go to my watch list. So every night over at Clover Trading, I post my watch list. Kyle posts his watch list. Huddy is more in the morning, posts his watch list once he kind of has a grasp on the gappers. Right now, it's just been really slow. All week, there's been 2 or 3 stocks on my watch list. AGBA has mostly been the one that's been on there. I don't really have it on watch today because I don't really want to short this today. This has kind of been an annoying ticker for me. Butchered the breakout over 166. Had a position yesterday midday that we discussed in the webinar in detail. So it kind of had its first red day yesterday mixed with a continuation day of the breakout. Kind of a tricky one now where there's a ton of support in the 220 to 250 area that it could break and go lower. The stock is up from 40 cents all the way to $3, but with this type of price action, down 13% on the day, do I really want to short 250s, 260s, risking three, or probably the main level of like 313? That risk reward is kind of bad, and I will probably avoid as being a primarily long bias trader when I'm going to short something. I really want there to be at least 2 3 to 1 risk reward on the short side, and I want to be risking off the right level. And I don't know if I'll be able to do that unless AGBA spikes into three. But if it spikes into three, I think there's a world where this holds up and goes higher in the coming days. It is pretty much the main runner right now in small cap land, besides NIVF. So no plans for me to short AGBA today on this week open. I'm gonna let it do its thing today. NIVF is another one that is in the midst of a small gap down right now, down 6%. My watch list, I really wanted to see some sort of small gap up, push into yesterday's resistance, kind of a really fresh chart, new, up from the 70-cent area all the way up towards 3. Pretty incredible move yesterday. And I wanted to see some fails in the 240 to 260 area, and then kind of give me a pretty obvious risk level, because overextended gap downs for me, I don't feel comfortable like I did 5 years ago, just risking green red or red green anymore, just because I feel like it breaks so often, and then if it does still go into work, I'm already taking a loss, and I have to decide if I want to risk the new high and start in again. I'd really rather risk a level from the previous day. I do struggle on the short side with plays that fade off into the close and then are red the next day, because there's so many levels that I feel like I could use as risk, from this 230 area to 267 to 285 to the highs at 294, and picking it and finding good risk reward is very difficult for me. So for these ones that I'm more questionable about, I really like to see either some morning strength, some sort of hard crack off the highs, give me a clear risk level using today's levels, and then look to fade it red. So NIVF, I would really only be interested if there's some sort of morning strength on it. If it fades, it fades. First red days are not my bread and butter. Shorting in general is, if you're in four relief, when I go through my reviews every month, really not adding a lot to the bottom line for me short selling. So it's not something we kind of talked about yesterday, I think. Maybe it was in the webinar, but just like being willing to go into the day shorting. I am not willing to go into the day shorting most of these. I really want them to do something to get me interested. A couple back burner ideas, the oil and gas sector, TPET, I believe they PR'd this morning. Still so far for the breakout level. Like I keep saying with these oil and gas stocks, guys, INDO, TPET, where's INDO? They're so far off the highs. Until they become more of a pattern, I'm not just going to be thinking if things worsen in the Middle East that these have to go up. That's not my mindset. Things can worsen and these can do nothing. These are small cap poop stocks, and I really want to wait for patterns to develop. If patterns don't develop, I don't really care about the catalyst. So with TPET kind of coming off its lows this morning, yeah, it's nice. It's not dead. But in my opinion, we're still, almost 100% away from the breakout level. There's a lot of work that needs to be done in these stocks to get me interested. So I will continue to watch them, have them on a list, but I'm not just going to be wanting to buy for the long run here. And then JAGX. This is kind of a interesting low price stock that's been holding up over this 15, 16 cent area. Nice breakout through that area a week or two ago. And it's continued to try to hold that level. Looks like it's back in the 18s now. Still, again, very far from the breakout level. We're 8 cents away, almost 100%. What's 18 plus 18? We're not almost 100% away. We are 50% away. Very far away. This wick is very far up there, and I don't want to put the cart before the horse. Also had a really weird after-hours pull the other day that got absorbed and is bouncing back now. So this is a pretty big bounce from the 11s to the 18s. We're so far from the highs that I would rather sit back, wait for a clear hold in the 20 to 24 area, and it's proven that breakouts can work on it. So I'd rather be there than again try to have an early entry. This is not the market, I feel like, right now to just be buying and holding stuff and wanting to be in early. Whereas a month or two ago, a lot of breakouts working, a lot of stocks were holding up longer than expected, and there was an edge there. But right now, there's just not a lot of momentum, and so for those instances, I'd rather be a little more patient, wait for the actual break, something like AGBA, where we get the breakout on the morning of, there's still decent risk reward, and you still get a nice big move. So that's the watch list for today. I have my third eye. That's the new inside joke over at Clover on the weed stocks, but that's again not for today. Big bounce from the sixes to the mid sevens on ACB. Again, I feel like it's just deja vu. Wicks into the moon. We're all really far from highs, so a lot of stuff needs to happen. A lot of work needs to be done from these tickers to get back into areas where I actually want to click buttons. So going into this morning, really need to see something out of like NIVF to short it. But besides that, I've taken like 2 or 3 trades this week. 2 losses on AGBA as it continues to go higher to the long side. That's pretty much been my week. So not looking to force anything. I will be traveling tomorrow, pretty much right after the open. So toward the end of the month, I'm not going to be pushing and forcing until a play really comes into my wheelhouse.
That's a lot of stocks on watch.
But 90% of them I'm not doing anything with in the next 5 days.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, BOF, AMST are the 2 on my screen. The other one that is chilling is NIVF. I do think this is an overextended gap down. I think there's totally merit to thinking that there's a first red day coming. For me personally, like overextended gap downs have not been very successful for me in 2024 or 2023 based on my stats. Kyle's done better at them than I have. But I will not be shorting this 80 cents, 90 cents off the highs to make it, 20 cents lower. Yeah, again, maybe it has a morning spike, I'll get more interested, but this is just not the setup I've been looking for lately. I've been predominantly just focusing on one setup, taking my own advice. I've been doing a lot of capping craps these days. So that's why AMST and BOF are the main watches for me. But if I see something really ideal come by, like NIVF takes one more day and gaps up and goes to like 350, I think that would kind of take me out of my retirement from first red days and pull me back into trying to short it. I just don't really want to short this right here, even if it works. I won't have much FOMO. I don't know. What'd you say about AGBA? Did you say you're going to wait for it to break out?
I'd love that, but
Yeah.
I basically just said I'm not shorting it down 13% today, right into the meat of the support in here.
Yep.
If it breaks, it breaks without me.
Breakouts have been good to me lately. I mean, just based off my stats, it's been very little risk, high reward type of setup across the board on most of the ones that I've taken. So that's what I'm rooting for. If AGBA has like a consolidation day in here and then comes back for the 3s the next day, I think you have some shorts twisted in the 2s. And that could propel it forward. So that's something I'm willing to, again, come out of retirement for. And if I am in retirement, I'm shorting gappers. That's been my MO.
Very nice.
Market's about to open here. NIVF gapping down 10%. At this point, if I am shorting NIVF, I'm probably trusting red green because I don't see another risk level to go after. And again, like 10% is pretty wide. That is the market open. AMST gapped up, 80%? That matters to me.
Let's see what we got for the day.
Okay. Pull back here on NIVF, very little volume.
I will tend to turn off extended hours once the market opens. Coffee.
I didn't have any of that today.
Why?
6 a.m.
Yeah, right. We saw yesterday with Starbucks. AGBA pretty much straight down out of the open right into 250, down 14% on the day. Really going into the morning with the mindset of not trading. Tried to do that yesterday. What'd you say?
I was gonna say I could see AGBA being, again, some type of overextended gap down here. It's just what bothers me is that it wicked red yesterday and came all the way back. So it's a bit choppy. At the same time, that could be like the final squeeze out of all shorts. And then today is kind of like a easier fade day. That's just for me, I'm conflicted. I don't really know if that's support that's gonna hold and it's gonna come back for 3s, or if it's just gonna not give an F about support and just unwind to the 2s. I kind of see both scenarios, but either way, I don't think the risk reward is good enough here for me to even care about both scenarios.
I'm just okay missing it. We closed at 3, down in the 240s right now. If you are a first red day short seller, I feel like 20% down on the day is kind of that money making zone. And we're almost there already, right out of the gate. And we've only pulled, what, 10 cents. So, in a world where I'm just being greedy and saying that I want to see this break out again, it's because I'm a primarily long bias trader and would prefer to trade this alongside, then I'm just kind of praying that it holds 230 to 250, goes sideways, grinds up. What's today? Wednesday? Maybe sets up a little bit tomorrow into the close, and it starts going on that trend again of slow, after hours pre-market gap ups and breakout on like a Friday. That would be kind of what I'd be thinking, but not, again, putting the cart before the horse, because you look at this daily chart. Today is a big red day so far. So not trying to predict, not trying to guess. Just going to wait and see. These type of markets where it's slow, and it's obviously slow, and everyone's telling you that it's slow, at some point you have to really just accept the periods when it's just there's not a lot of activity, and really pick your spots well. There's it's so weird, because if you're just thinking about a robot or an algorithm or a system, these periods should be so easy to go sideways on your P&L, slight increases, slight decreases. But these are the moments when we draw down. These are the moments when we take big losses, because we think we deserve to make money all the time, when in reality there are many moments throughout the year of trading when we're just supposed to not do anything. NIVF down into the 180s right now. There's some resistance from a couple days ago, 160 to 190. We'll see how it does there. Wayne says INDO pushing nicely. Stocks have just been, we're so close to the base down here near 4 and we're so far from 660s that it's just not something I'll be watching out of the gate most days until we're a lot closer to that area.
My thoughts for the oil and gas sector and all the small caps related to them, and it's still going to be lukewarm. I think you're still on the precipice of extreme volatility, whether up or down. I don't know which direction. So it's good to have a watch list of them as long as there's calamity in the Middle East. But I wouldn't be too eager to just get involved at all costs, because they're not really in pattern right now. They're not really doing anything. I want them to be interesting first before I go after them. So having a list, having a watch list, nothing wrong with that. But don't get sucked into the whole like let's buy really crappy oil and gas stocks and hold on to them.
I just heard so many people say like this is going to get worse. Like the situation is going to get worse. Gas prices are going to go up, and I can agree or disagree with that. But what I can agree with is that if things get worse, these stocks have to run. They have to break out again. That is just not the case. I mean, I remember having that type of mindset in 2023, early in the year with AI stocks, and it just didn't work that way. The stocks that had the best charts, that had the best share structure, with the best type of news worked. And the stocks that it didn't change the overall perspective of AI globally, but those stocks just didn't work. And that's okay. But that's always at the back of my mind now. It's like the catalyst is there. These stocks, if they want to set up, the news is there. What's going on in the Middle East is there. But if there's no pattern, if there's, what's INDO? $2 a share off the highs, like 40%. Like, it's just not what I'm looking to do. Like, I'm just not just going to buy and hold these. There's been markets like that in the past with maybe marijuana and stuff, but this is just not it for me. Like getting stuck in gap downs or bad news like these, you think just because we're in a hot period for these stocks, like globally, like the news, doesn't mean that these stocks don't take advantage of this time when, this is still up from 2 to 470 right now in INDO. Bad stuff can still happen.
If I wanted to bet on the war getting worse, I'd buy something like Raytheon. Something that's like directly correlated. NIVF kind of weak right now. Really a lot less volume than previous days, just falling off a cliff or breaking down. whatever you want to call it. AMST actually getting a good morning spike. I'll get interested if it gets to the fives. Until then, I'm not interested. BOF just fading.
Boff.
Yeah. And again with NIVF, like in a world, I think like I want to be short, but I just think about being short from 2 and risking 220, and like even at 180, okay, I'm 1-to-1, and I'll probably get a lot of FOMO of not being involved if it goes to 1.4 today, but that's so hard for me to predict. That's down like 30-40%. I mean, I'm just doing rough math on top of my head. It's really hard to predict those fades. A lot of them, I get 20-25% fades. So if this is like near best case, predictably, I don't know. I don't know when the bounce is coming, so it's really hard to tell like how to make good risk reward on that.
Yeah, and again, I just treat overextended gap down so much different than I used to. I feel like 2017, 18, 19, like
It was different.
there was a world where you could just short the open here and say we're close enough to 223 that this is a good starter, and if we spike, I'll build in more. But I just don't think that way anymore. Like watching Kyle short Agba yesterday, like with that type of aggression, it's just not me. I really do want to see strength. I want to see some sort of bounce. Like even right now, we're down over $1 a share off the highs from yesterday. Like we are down a lot, and I just don't really feel like chasing it without some sort of strength to play off of a certain risk level.
Anyways, I said I'd give it 30 minutes to kind of make a decision on IVF, and it looks like for now, I've missed the initial morning pull, which is again just 1-to-1 risk reward. So I'm not like, it's not like I missed a huge play.
JagX still hanging around in the 18s. See what that does into the end of the week. AMST Gapper into the 100% now. See if that can spark something into the end of the week. How do you put a what's the word? Voodoo spell on it, saying that all gappers have worked?
It's
It.
really what it is. It's just a cycle, right? It's a statistical relevant thing that once a month we get a couple days spree of stocks that don't go down. I don't know if you remember back in March, but IBIO kind of sparked that, and it was an AI ticker. So maybe AMST has some similarities to IBIO. Again, I don't try to draw conclusions like that, but I am very aware of increased volume and more volatile cycles where things aren't fading as much and they're holding up throughout the day. And I usually get less aggressive in those moments, but I need one to show me that that's what's going on first, and then like what happened. Like it was like IBIO went up, and then like AVTX was like that after hours that it gapped up from like 4 and went to like 30. And I was like, okay, that looks a lot different than what we've been used to. I'm not sure if we're there right now, but it statistically happens like once a month.
We'll see how that one does. If you guys have any tickers, we'd love to go through them. Not a lot going on this morning. Congrats to any shorts, I guess, who would short in pre-market or on NIVF. What's Agba doing? 250s, still down right about 15%. See if this one goes lower or starts to base again. Someone brought up ATOS. I don't know what I'm looking at here. I feel like I traded this one like 5 years ago. Yeah, it wasn't old.
You did. Yeah, not sure what I'm looking up there either.
Nothing there for me. Someone said Wizza, nice daily chart. For what? If you're a long bias trader, I really want you guys to be thinking about bag holders. Think about highs on the chart. Like this, I know you think that there's like, because they said over 577. I don't know what level that is. This is just buried. Look at the volume back here. The stock went from 2 to 11. It has support in the 6 area, support in the 7s, resistance every cent higher. This is just buried in resistance. For something like this to come out and break out, which is the play I'd be looking for, I don't want to trade it inside of this mess because I think it's very unpredictable, and I think you're fighting an uphill battle against, you're talking about like a week has passed. Like there's definitely still people in this that are underwater. And being a long buy share, I feel like really you have to pick your spots, pick your areas, pick your daily charts that you're dealing with the least amount of resistance, not just in terms of resistance technically on the chart, but like resistance in terms of what's going to stop your move, what's going to make your move harder, what's going to make your move take longer. I'd rather get paid as quickly as possible, and the way that happens is cleaner daily charts through key levels. You look at Agba breakout the other day, like it's a very clean move over a very specific area, and it's a clearly strong chart there. And the resistance and the volume we're doing on Agba back in the last week is so much bigger than the past, and all this resistance is so far away and so much higher that it's just less likely to come into play. When you're talking about Wizza, like you're talking about someone who's been bagged for 5 days. You don't think this is at the forefront of their attention every day if this goes higher and they can get out? It is, just so you know.
It was rhetorical.
Yeah. I answered it too, though.
Nice.
This week is just a real sleeper. Sleeper in terms of boring.
Yeah, but still, I mean, Agba was a great breakout. I mean, CYN for me yesterday was probably the best fader of the month because of the PR or for the offering. So still, like again, like for those traders that know their lane and stick to their lane and know their setups, and there is opportunity for damn sure. It's just again, like what you said, pick your spots, be specific, and
yeah, there's a
and don't
world where
overtrade.
if you're a breakout buyer, and this is supposed to be me. Unfortunately, I pooped the bed this week where Agba makes one of your best weeks of the month on one ticker, and maybe you do end up shorting it yesterday like Kyle did. I still think that the way he executed that is just too perfect to replicate, but that's a really solid breakup. Buying in the 160s, selling near 3. There are very warm weeks, very bullish weeks in the overall market and in small caps where you don't get breakouts that work like that. So
Yeah,
you got to be prepared.
that's got 6-figure potential written all over it. I know, a Gritani of the world would buy that with at least 35,000 shares, if not a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a stock doing 200 million in a day. Like that's what we dream about. It just happened to be on a slow week, and it worked out quite nicely. Any other questions? We are getting towards the end of the hour here. It is slow. It is boring. I'm just going to keep reminding you guys because I think these periods are so much more important than the hot periods, because it's if you know what you're doing, if you're studying the video lessons, studying the webinars, paying attention, asking us questions, like the patterns make sense. When you see an Agler breakout and you're a long bias trader, you in most times can figure out how to buy that, how to assess risk, where to sell, right? But what do you do when there's nothing? What do you do when there's no plays? What do you do when the plays dramatically decrease in terms of quantity? Like, can you hold on to your gains? Can you sit back and sit on your hands and not force extra trades, not take 2, 3, 4 extra losses on a subpar setup? Like the answers to those questions for you are going to decide whether or not you can do this for the long run. Because these are the stretches, and sometimes they last a week, sometimes they last a month, where there's just less to do, less to trade. We're heading into the summer months where it's generally a little bit slower. We'll see this year going into an election at the end of the year if that changes. I don't ever make any predictions. I just trade the market in front of me. But if you can get really good at being patient, picking your spots, being disciplined with your approach, these are the moments where you can still drift up in your profit chart when everyone else is struggling because they're trading too much and thinking that every week has to be hot and they have to take a trade every single day. What does Huddy say as we wrap it up here?
I'm just watching the stocks we've been talking about. Some of mine, NIVF, kind of coming off that 180 level, which is where my price target was again, and we got some bids building on the bid side. So maybe they get this squeezing, and I wouldn't rule it out that the play isn't there yet for Dominic over there. Maybe they do get this squeezing towards previous days levels and resistances that we could play off of for a better type of pullback. So just kind of keeping an eye on there. AMST, I'm still waiting for that to spike. I'm not necessarily done with the trading day at all yet. This thing I still think is relatively in play. And again, if it goes towards 5, I'll start locating shares. I haven't even located yet. It's still like of zero interest until it gets to 5. But then it does become interesting. So keep an eye there. Just because it's been 16 minutes doesn't mean the day's over. That's kind of what my thought is right now. Job's not done. Still some opportunity maybe to be had. Not going to walk away until probably 8. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know about your whole slow market thing. Like I said, it is definitely slower. I mean,
What
as
do you
far as
mean? What?
gappers,
It's not an
as
argument.
far as as far as gappers come, there's less gappers. You know, less things of interest at market open for me. But at the same time, and the market's kind of fallen off the highs, right? Um, I don't know how correlated that is to small cap, but maybe it
I
does
feel like
something.
we had a better week last week when every candle was red on the overall market than we have this week when every candle is green.
Yeah, probably because that's volatility, right? Volatility breeds opportunity. Uh, but I don't know what were the big plays from last week. I feel like Agba was like one of the biggest plays of the month, and like that happened in a slow market. You know, like and IVF, like maybe this is an amazing first red day, and it's happening in a slow market. It stocks up from 80 cents to 280. Like that doesn't scream slow to me. That just like I mean whatever mindset one wants to put themselves in, that's fine. But I do think there's actionable plays. Um,
I never said
so
that,
I
Jim.
just kind of
If you can't admit that every watch list has 90% less tickers on it right now.
Oh yeah, I told you. Like yeah, absolutely. There's less tickers gapping up every day, so yeah, watch lists are not going to have the same amount. But it was like not 10 days ago that DXYZ was being shorted on a Monday. Like that was
I mean, put yourself in this
7 trading
perspective.
days ago.
If you are tilted right now, there's not even a plethora of tickers for you to degen out on.
Yeah, good.
Like that tells me it's a little slow.
I guess.
It's not a guessing game. I don't know what you're arguing here. We're on the same side, Jim.
Like if DXYZ, which is like a really good first red day, was 9 days ago, and a breakout was on Monday, and that was a really good breakout, and that was 2 days ago. Like the cadence of A+ plays are once every 7 days. It's a lot better than 2023. I'll tell you that much.
And the first red
Like,
day was 20 days ago.
but
No,
it's
15 days ago. You just got to sit back and wait. They will come. If you build it, they will come. It's a boring morning. All right, we will wrap it up here. Thank you guys for joining us this morning on a very slow. We do this every Wednesday. We can't always promise there's going to be a lot of action and activity, but we can promise we're always going to be here for you guys. We also have Wine Wednesday tonight. Kyle will be joining us because it'll be the middle of the day for him in Hawaii time. I don't even know what time zone that is. What time zone is that, Traveler?
It's 3 hours before Pacific Standard.
No, what's it called?
No idea.
Hawaiian time. So we will see you guys here 7 o'clock Eastern tonight for an episode of Wine Wednesday. Bring some questions. Hopefully you stayed safe out there, but we will see you then. Thank you for joining us this morning. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We post videos every single week. I know this week, Huddy's video got posted as 3 best trades of the year, correct?
Correct.
So be sure to go check it out. Leave a comment if you learned something. And leave a comment if you have any thoughts or ideas for future videos that you guys want to see. But like I said, we'll see you tonight.